Good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday to everyone out there. How are you guys doing this morning? Give me a big thumbs up if you can hear me, okay, please, so we can get this live stream number 20 underway. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. Just let me know if the audio is okay, if you guys can hear me. I appreciate that. And then we can get some stuff underway. Let me just check it myself then. I don't know if you guys can actually hear me up there. So let me just go and take a quick peek at my YouTube channel on my phone here. I just want to make sure the audio is clear and loud. I'm using some new software here today, so I'm still evaluating. Okay, the volume's a little low. All right, let me just pump it up a little bit. Let me give me a thumbs up when is that better? And let me know also if you can hear me in stereo because on both sides because with some software I seem to be having issues with that. All good now? Let me just check quickly here. This is the little it's too loud now. Yeah, I figured there's a fine line between too loud and not loud enough. Is that good? Is that okay? I wish I had a better control over the sound with these programs, but spot on. Great. Thanks, Alan. I really appreciate that. So, good morning to everybody on this beautiful Sunday morning. I hope you guys are having fantastic weather like we are over here. I'm using StreamYard, and unfortunately, StreamYard puts their logo everywhere on the screen, so I'm ducking the logos for some weird reason here. Let me just put this a little higher. There we go. All right. So yeah, unfortunately, I guess they're trying to brand their software as much as possible, and I think it's a little bit overdone. But whatever. Eventually, I'll make a decision on which software to use, and we'll get rid of all this branding that they're not paying me for. How's everybody doing this lovely Sunday? We got a bunch of people in the house already. Let me say good morning to all my friends. Christopher, Christian, Alan, Bruce, Christopher. Who else do we have here? Bruce. We have Vox Guitars Rock. What's up? Fat Philosopher. Good morning. Dorothy. Hi. How's it going from Louisiana? How's everybody doing? Hurricane Moon. Great to see so many people up on this Sunday, and I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's safe and just doing well overall. I want to give a big thank you for everybody that's joining me on Sunday mornings. We normally do Sunday mornings 10 o'clock for those of you that are new around here. I started to do Sunday mornings and also Wednesday evenings just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to catch the shows. Unfortunately, I had to cancel this Wednesday due to a death in the family. My father in law, rest his soul, passed away just a couple of days ago. So unfortunately, I had to postpone. I had to cancel that show, and but moving forward, I will try to, at the very least, keep the Sunday morning shows going. We'll see what happens with the shows that happen on Wednesday evening. But unfortunately, such is life. It was a very, I would say, stressful period for all of us during the last part of his life. He was not well, but at least he got to live to be a ripe old age of 92, and he enjoyed life. And nobody likes to see their loved ones suffering. And unfortunately, we all got to go that route eventually. Uh, but it's never easy. So I appreciate your condolences. Thank you for that. But again, life must go on. We have to carry on. And, you know, even though people leave us, our friends leave us, they're always in here. So they live on through us. Um, I just want to say a big thank you for everyone who is joining us here today. Live stream number 20. Our subscribers are up over 13,500, which is fantastic. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do take a moment to do that. I see that there's a few new faces here every live show, so I would love to, you know, have you join our family. Everybody is really great here. We love to share information, and you know, normally I post a couple of videos per week, and you know, this past week I kind of didn't have the time to do that, and but I'm hoping to jump back on the bandwagon with the videos, so that you know, things get back to normal as soon as possible. And there's always great stuff happening here, and you know, we share a lot of great information regarding gear, regarding, you know, just guitars in general, amplifiers, pedals. For those of you that are new here, it's a great opportunity to ask any questions regarding some of the videos that I've done in the past. A lot of people comment on my videos and just send me the comments privately, but this is a great way to jump on board and get a couple of minutes actually asking your questions live, so I can expand on the explanation or the answer to the questions. So let's jump into it right away. Really, I wanted to talk about a couple of different things today. I know there's already a couple of questions, so let me just start off by taking a couple of questions right off the bat, and then we can jump on a couple of topics that I wanted to discuss with you. So let's go, let me just go through the comments here very quickly. Bruce, the hum in the background, unfortunately, is my air conditioner. I can't really do anything about that. Unfortunately, it's close to this wall where the mic is located, and the mic is sensitive enough to pick that up when the volume is too high. So hopefully that doesn't annoy you too much. It will turn itself off. Morning from New York. Hi, Rich. Nice to see you. We got our friend from Illinois as well. Randy's in the house. Great to see you, Randy. Robert's in the house too from Seattle. We got people from all over the place. Oh, that's great. I really do like that. So Alan's asking if there's, you know, what's happening on my son's guitar. And basically, I put it back together again. Actually, I wanted to show it here today, but it's in his room. He won't let me touch it now that I gave it to him. I got the decal, not the decal, the water slide. I installed it on the headstock. I finished the headstock so that the decal is now buried under a few layers of a clear finish. It looks great. It plays pretty good. I mean, it's not a fantastic guitar because it's budget, but after I changed the tuners, reshaped the headstock, changed the nuts, and the pickups, it's a player guitar, man. I gotta say, for the money that I spent, I think he's super happy with it, and I hope he's gonna take the opportunity to actually start practicing. I bother him from time to time, you know, just walk in and say, you know, son, that guitar's not going to learn how to play itself. And, you know, he always has some kind of excuse, but hopefully just having it available now will encourage him to start playing it. We'll see. But I'll eventually show it on the channel, and actually even make you hear what it actually sounds like. It's already 20 shows in. I know the time flies really fast. You know, hopefully, eventually, anyways, we'll get up to 120. You know, we'll keep things going as much as we can. Hello from Japan. Fat Philosopher's been busy. He's picked up a couple of guitars from what I hear. So I guess you've busted the bank for now, and you're gonna have to slow things down. It could very well be that the video was smoother last Sunday. I was using a different software, which I might actually go back to. This is the only reason I'm testing out this software is because I want to eventually do some shows where I could uh, do live streams with someone else. And this software is compatible with both that Mac and PC. So if you're trying to live stream with somebody that has a PC and you're using streaming software that's specifically made for Mac, then you're probably gonna have I'm probably gonna have issues there, you know. But it could very well be that it's maybe not as smooth. I don't know. I actually invested in a video camera for streaming so that I can get also a better video. Hopefully that'll be coming in soon. But reality is the mail is super slow. I don't know if you guys have experienced that as well. I have a few things that are supposed to be arriving, and it's been over a month. I've been waiting for a couple of items that I wanted to review for you guys, and nothing doing. They're just like not coming in. I don't know what it is. Let me know if you guys are having the same issues with the mail. Cool Tunes Made Easy. How's it going, sir? Nice to see you in the house. The guitar kit has not arrived. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It just and that's also from Canada. Imagine it's not even like it's just a province over, and it's it still hasn't arrived. So I'm waiting for that. You'll be the second one to know. Hmm. So you're saying the lip sync is off today? That's not good. I gotta check it. I don't know. Maybe it's also slow internet. I'm not really sure. My computer's been causing a lot of issues. It's one of the things that I have on my list to upgrade as soon as I can. I want to get a faster computer with a better memory and a faster hard drive so that I can do my editing. Sometimes it just becomes painfully slow. Good morning from southern Alberta. Vinay. Nice to see you, man. So I'm not the only one waiting for mail. I guess it's just a question of bandwidth and people that are working for the post. I guess they have their challenges as well. It's really stressful when you order something new, especially a guitar, and you're chomping at the bit to get it, and it's just taking forever. Even Amazon, which I use to order things quickly, hasn't been quick at all. They're not even if you're using Prime, things are delayed quite a bit. I guess it all depends where you're ordering from. So Cool Tunes Made Easy. I think we have to congratulate him because he just got his new Gretsch a couple days ago. That's fantastic, man. I'm super happy to hear when some of my friends got some new guitars. How do you like it so far? Gretsch is a great guitar. I played a couple of them, and they rock. They really do. Speaking of guitars, what I have in my hands, you guys probably have seen this one already. This is the Jackson, a very affordable guitar that I picked up. As you can see, I've already changed the pickups from the video that I made with this guitar. It now has a set of humbuckers with some really nice raw nickel covers. I think these are Porter pickups. I kind of lost track to what I actually put in here, and unfortunately sometimes my brain just like doesn't want to work with me. In the back of me, actually yesterday, I had taken out all the guitars that I had with humbuckers because I wanted to. I was getting into one of my anal retentive moments where I wanted to compare the sound of my humbucker pickup sound side by side because I'm really picky about the neck pickup when it comes to humbuckers. I really like a neck pickup that's a little bit thinner, a little bit more trebly, less bass focused, and they always tend to be, for whatever reason, more bass heavy in the neck position. I almost want to get like a P90 sound in the neck position, more open, more airy sounding. And some pickups do the job really, really well, and others don't. So I actually spent some time comparing them side by side, because that's when it actually becomes very blatantly obvious what you're dealing with in terms of sound. And just to share with you guys um, some of the feedback that I saw for myself when I did this, the Porter Anthem set that I also reviewed. You can go back into my videos and watch that. I had put it into a Les Paul style guitar, and that one, the Anthem set, really, I really love the neck on that one. It's really like classic sounding. It doesn't sound flubby or overly bassy on it. So I really like that particular one. I might actually buy another neck pickup and replace it in one of my other guitars. The Pariah Celebration set that I also reviewed on my channel has a really great sounding bridge pickup in it. It really sounds like full, meaty, not thin, which is really what you want to have. But the neck pickup was a little bit overly bass heavy, so I'm trying to find one that will replace that particular neck pickup. It's a little bit too honky sounding for me and a little too bassy, so I prefer something a little thinner sounding. And the high order pickups that I have in my Tokai, they're also very, very good. I feel that the combo, between one or the other maybe would work really well. Either, getting the bridge pickup from Pariah and putting in a set of either the Porter humbucker pickup in the neck, or maybe another high order pickup in the neck. And what was surprising to me also was that I do have a set of Guitar Fetish GFS pickups that I put into my vintage 335 copy guitar, and that one, it actually held its own for the amount of money that I spent on it. It actually worked pretty well, and it was quite affordable in terms of pickup sets. So if you guys are you're looking for pickups, definitely try a few brands before you make up your mind, if you can. Unfortunately, not all these companies have return policies. It's a shame. It would be great to be able to actually compare a pickup, and then if you don't like it, return it. Some companies do that, some companies do not. But the upgrades I made into this Jackson, this was a guitar that I picked up used. I think I paid it I don't know, 180 bucks, something like that. And overall, really super guitar. I like it a lot. Has a really nice neck to it. Feels solid. The only thing I changed on this guitar was the nuts and the pickups. And eventually I might upgrade the tuners, but for now I'm gonna keep them on. The nut made a huge difference in terms of the stability of the tuning on this guitar. And a lot of guitars that have these hockey sticks style necks, they definitely suffer from tuning issues just because of the angles of the strings. So a couple of little minor upgrades there, and it really made the guitar rock. So Fat Philosopher says the Dean that he ordered this morning will come with Seymour Duncan's live wire actives. My first time to use active pickups. Anything I should remember when using actives? Yeah, batteries. As somebody else mentioned, lots of batteries. Actually, the batteries, they generally last a pretty decent amount of time. But let me know how you like the active pickups, because I never actually got along with active pickups in myself. I really didn't enjoy them. They sounded a little too sterile, if that's the word. Maybe the quality on the active pickups has improved over time, and you'll enjoy them a bit more. but I didn't necessarily bond with active pickups. Pleasantly surprised. I like it a lot for $600. Gretsch 5220 removed pickguard black top with mahogany back and side, sweet looking and seems very well built. I'm sure you'll get a lot of use out of that guitar. I mean, Gretsch guitars overall are built very well. A lot of people do like them, and you can get a wide variety of tones out of it. It's actually surprising how flexible they are in terms of sounds. If you shop on Reverb, you can get some good deals. So Bruce is saying that he got another Gretsch a little while ago, and he got it for about $500, which is actually a fantastic deal. That's a good deal. You're a good bargainer, I guess. Pretty awesome. Nothing better than getting a great deal. That's what I think. Just that feeling, that high you get out of getting a great deal is just fantastic. That's what keeps me going and buying guitars. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys this morning, just to keep the conversation not solely focused on gear, but on other things as well. Um, what's the most you guys would spend on a new guitar today? This is a topic that I wanted to discuss because it seems like the prices keep going up on the guitars, and there's always a psychological limit if you're really hot and horny on a guitar. Some of you guys might feel that you know sky's the limit. If the guitar that you want is the guitar that you want, you're willing to pay for it. But generally, there's always some kind of a ceiling in terms of new guitars and how much you're willing to spend. And I'm not talking about like collector's guitars. I'm not talking about like super vintage guitars or guitars that are signed by Jimmy Page or something like that. I'm just talking about run of the mill guitars that are being mass produced by the companies today, and which ones you guys like. How much do you want to spend? For me, so 1,005. Okay, I see somebody saying 1,005 here. 2005, 3006. And that's exactly how I felt, Mark. So this is a very valid point that I think deserves to be shared. I think the more you spend on your guitars, the less likely you are to want to take them out and play them. That's the experience I have. Like these cheap guitars that I buy are really enjoyable to play because I don't really care what happens to them as much. But if you spend, $4,000 on a guitar, 3,000 and a half dollars, and it gets a chip or a ding, it's like it's disastrous. You're gonna keep and fixating on that little defect just because it's not pristine anymore. How much is like just play with this idea for a minute. Let's say you buy a really nice PRS 10 top, beautiful flame, maple on it, beautiful colors, and it's got a chunk missing out of it because you accidentally hit the side of the table with it when you were playing. So how much is that guitar worth now? Think about it. How much of the value of a guitar is actually on the aesthetics, and how much of it is actually what you're buying in terms of tone? There's a very fine line between those two things, I think, right? Am I wrong here? Who agrees with me here? Put your hand up. Because then, you buy a beautiful guitar like that and you get a chip taken out of it, like you're going to want to fix it. You're going to want to send it back. You're going to want to get it refinished or something like that, which is going to cost another fortune. And then you're less likely to take it out again unless you're into, relic guitars. But some guitars relic better than others. I haven't really seen any really nice relic PRS guitars, unfortunately, because they're usually lookers. For me, I would say, like on a guitar, $2,500 max. That has to be like a really nice guitar. Like we're talking maybe, you know, PRS level, 10 top, something like that. You know, like would I pay $2,500 for a Strat? Probably not. Would I pay $2,500 for a guitar I could build myself? Probably not. Like a Telecaster or something like that, I wouldn't pay that kind of money. You know, for a 335, maybe, you know, you're looking at what nowadays they're like 3,200 bucks, something like that. And that's nothing crazy. That's just a run of the mill guitar, right? So, I mean, the point being with this question is, you know, how far are the companies going to go with these new guitars right now? You know, like I'm seeing a lot of really nice guitars coming out from Fender, from Charvel. A lot of brands are coming out with super nice guitars. Then you have, you know, the kind of boutique guitar. I don't know if you can even call them boutique anymore, but like the Sirs and the Friedmans and, you know, certain builders that make really great guitars. They're not necessarily individually made, they're still mass produced. And those guitars are pushing 4,000 bucks, 5,000 bucks now. So, although I really like those guitars and I would love to own one of them, I don't think I'd be able to buy one of them at that price. So, there's something's got to happen with the prices of the guitars. I think they've plateaued in terms of, you know, how much you can actually ask for, you know, a Strat style guitar. Dorothy says, I think it moved the same way you do. I'm scared to take my expensive guitars out. Fright, I might drop them or something. I take the cheapest ones out and beat them up. Yeah, I do the same. And that's why I like my road worn Strats because and Telecaster because I really don't care what happens to them. It actually gives it more mojo once it gets a little bit more beat up, you know? There you go. Bram says the same thing, and that's how I feel too sometimes. I've bought three 4K custom shop Gibsons, Fenders, etc. In the end, I enjoyed my 1K guitar just as much, if not more, than the three 4K guitars sometimes. Same here, man. Brothers from another mother, I think, because honestly, a lot of the more expensive guitars I own stay in the case most of the time. So it's kind of a waste. I haven't pulled out the PRS USA in a long time. I gotta like take it out of the case or it's gonna get like mold on it growing pretty soon because I play the other PRS more often. So it's just something to think about. So Bram wants me to talk about the neck profile on the Tokai. I was actually just playing it. I think it's here. Let me hold on a second. Let me grab it. I'll grab it for you, okay? Uh, okay, so here's the Tokai that Bram is asking about. Um, as you can see, it's in pretty good condition. There's hardly no defects on this guitar right now. Um, the neck profile on this guitar is a little bit chunkier than my Les Paul, but in a good way. It doesn't feel like a baseball bat, but it does feel hefty in the hands. So I don't know how I can explain it to you, but it's definitely a little bit chunkier or girthier than my Les Pauls, but in a good way. This is a great guitar. Highly recommend people pick up one of these if you can grab them. Great story. I ended up getting this guitar for about 600 bucks. Of course, I changed the pickups on it, but it's fantastic. This is the guitar that has the high order pickups with the nickel covers. I love nickel covers because they just age so well. They become grimy and stuff. I like that. Everything else is original on this guitar except the bone nut that was actually swapped out by the previous owner. I didn't change anything on this guitar. The only thing I added was a little Zoso decal on the cover of the truss rod. The truss rod cover. That's my own little touch. And you know, the body on this guitar is not flamed or anything. It's more like the reissue Gibsons. But the cool thing about this guitar, and I think it actually adds to the tone, is that the posts here on the bridge saddles actually go right into the wood with a little pin. They don't have the little retainer. You know how most Gibsons have a screw that goes into a little treaded, I don't know what you call that thing, like a treaded receiver. Well, this one doesn't have it. This one is actually built more like the old Gibsons where they actually go right into the wood. And I do think that adds to the sustain on the guitar. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know if it's the fanboys that are driving up the prices, or if it's just Gibson itself trying to, you know, still make enough margins to keep things rolling. You know, it's a funny thing, because if you start making guitars that are more affordable, logic would tend to have you believe that you would sell more of them. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but I have a feeling that, you know, Gibson is trying to make as much money on the guitar as they can. Strat5150, thank you for joining me. We all know who the sleeper is in this group. It's okay, man. No problem. Bud H says that all of his guitars are under $1,000. I'm afraid to try high end because of budget. I agree, man. You know, at the end of the day, you can buy, if you can buy 2 or 3 guitars with the same amount of money that you're going to spend on one. I think that's a good thing. You know, Alan has a point here. He says that custom shop guitars are way overrated and overpriced. You know what? If you buy somebody that's spending that kind of money on a custom shop guitar, I'm sure they're going to disagree with you. They're going to have a million and one reasons why the custom shop stuff is better. But in my opinion, if it feels good and plays good, it's good. You know, I had somebody come over to buy an amplifier that I was selling, and he brought a really nice looking, I think it was an R8 or something like that, and it, you know, sounded good, but did it sound better than this guy? I don't think it did. He actually played this one, and honestly, I couldn't tell the difference. So this is what I normally do. You know, you buy an affordable guitar and you upgrade it, because really, what really changes on a guitar when you're looking at, even if you're looking at a custom shop, okay? I know they're going to be telling you, let's forget about Gibsons, let's talk about Fenders, okay? Fender custom shop guitars, what are they actually charging you more for? I know they're going to say they're going to be selecting better quality woods, you know, whatever, okay? That may or may not be true, but you know, better quality woods, once it's painted, what is the difference really? Like, is it really, how much tonal difference are you going to hear? You can get good quality wood that sounds like a dud, and you get good quality wood that sounds fantastic depending on how it's been processed and dried and everything else, right? So you have a body, you have a neck. That really doesn't change much, really. What they're going to do is they are going to spend more time on it. They're going to spend more time on finishing the frets and making sure everything's leveled properly and everything else. Beyond that, everything is bolted on. It's screwed on, bolted on. So if you put good quality pickups in it, no matter what you do, whether you buy a custom shop or a regular Strat, you put good quality pickups, that's going to make a huge impact in the sound. As far as playability, if the guitar is set up properly, it's definitely going to feel much, much better. So if you take a regular run-of-the-mill guitar and you bring it to a luthier that knows what they're doing and have them set it up for you, you know, A to Z, you probably will be getting a fantastic guitar and saving a ton of money. Um, so, you know, I don't know. I'm really not sure about this whole custom shop master build thing. Like, I understand if you're asking them to build a custom guitar with certain specs, like you want certain woods and you want, you know, the neck to be a certain profile, certain radius, that kind of stuff. I understand paying extra for that because it's not a run-of-the-mill build, but definitely, I don't know. It's really not. I don't think you're gonna really see a huge difference there. So Joe asks, he says, I can't understand why anyone would buy a relic guitar. This is a question that keeps coming up over and over again. Joe, my point of view is that the only reason I have two relic guitars is not for the relicing, because I couldn't care less. It's for the feel. They just feel good. There's something about the Strat that I have and the Telecaster that I have that makes it feel good. And I can't, you know, is it because of the way the neck is worn in or what? I'm not really sure, but they just play well. They sound good. And I'm not saying they sound better because they're relict. That's not the case at all. They just happen to be guitars that feel and play really well that happen to be relict. The relicking for me, as I mentioned earlier on, is just a plus because I don't have to worry about them so much. You know, if they get a ding in them, who cares, right? I don't really care about that. Here, I'll show you one of the relic. Since we're doing the round robin, I might as well. I don't have the Strat. Here we are. So I have the Strat here with me, but this is the Telecaster. Now, as you can see, it's relic. It's not like, you know, dragged in back of a car relic. It has a couple of dings in it. More along the back, there is some wear here, and this is not a new guitar actually. So I don't know how much of the relic is actually fake and how much is actually real. The neck has been played and sanded, as you can see here, so it feels very nice. It's not sticky at all. You know, so if this guitar gets dinged, I don't really care. You know, it's already dinged, so who cares? But you know, I agree with you that, you know, if there's guitars that are overly relic, like some of them look terrible, especially the fretboards. Like you can see that this fretboard, the front of it hardly has any relicking at all. You know, anything that is there is actually real. So that's the way I like them. I've seen the ones that are really like, it looks like somebody took a Dremel to them. I don't like those. You know, it's not realistic and it's just like kind of weird. So who else is in the house? Let me just catch up here. So Christian doesn't understand relicking either. So look, I'm not trying to convert anyone on the relicking opinion. It's either for you or it's not. It's as simple as that. But you know, I go with feel, and to me they just feel really good. Are 50s guitars that much better to justify the prices? I don't know how much better they are, Alan, but they're definitely more collectible. So the price justification, I think, comes in because they hold their value a little bit more, because they are collectible. You know what I mean? Like if you buy an older guitar, you're gonna pay a lot of money for it because it's rarer, and if it's in good condition or in original condition especially, it's worth more, right? So if you buy an old Strat, for example, or even an old amplifier, if you talk about amplifiers, they might not. Amplifiers are a little bit different when it comes to old amplifiers, and I explain to you why. They're collectible, yes, but at the same time, the values shift with the capacitors and the transistors. As they get older, they need to be replaced. It needs to be recapped. The caps, sometimes the values on the caps sway, and it changes the sound of the amplifier. So although they are collectible, they also sometimes are not as reliable and require work and maintenance. So there's a difference between old amps and old guitars, in my opinion. I don't know if you follow what I'm trying to say here. Thanks, man. I really love that Les Paul. It's really a great guitar. I'm going to show you, actually, let's do another round robin. A lot of you guys have asked me in the past to show the guitars, so let's do that. Well, the Bacchus you've already seen, so I won't show that one. I show that one often enough. So this one, this is another Les Paul standard. Also with upgraded pickups. And this is the set that I put in. These are the Pariah pickups that I was talking to you about. So the neck pickup on this sounds really good. Sorry, not the neck, the bridge. The neck is the one that I'm having issues with. Okay, so this guitar definitely has a thinner neck front to back than the Tokai. It's got a nicer top. It's got some flame on it, and you can see that. Relatively good condition. No issues with this one. Plays really nice. I had the nut replaced on this guy. It's got a bone nut on it right now. It's got locking tuners. Pretty much standard run-of-the-mill Les Paul. And it has tuning issues, like all of the Les Pauls. A little bit less now that I changed the bone nut. So that one definitely made a huge difference in the stability of the tuning with this guitar. Overall, it's a great guitar. I like it a lot. Gibsons are really nice, but you can see here, I have the bridge cranked a little bit high on this one. There, I don't know if you can see that. A little bit high. I think I'm going to go a little bit lower on that. That wasn't me, actually. That was the person that installed the nut. He did like an overall adjustment, and he cranked it a little bit high. I tend to go lower. And one of the things that I wanted to show you, actually, see if you can see here, these posts go into a little, like a retainer screw here in the body. You see how thick these posts are? They're pretty thick. Now on the Tokai, I'll show you the difference. You see how low the sound, this thing's almost like touching the body, but here, if you can see that, See how thin that post is? Super thin, and it goes straight into the body. So that's the difference right there. And it does make a difference. It does make a difference. So, Fat Philosopher also has a Zoso decal. Good, man. See? Same wavelength. Great minds think alike. So Bruce says that he's fortunate because he can buy pretty much any guitar that he wants, but he doesn't. He only buys what he's going to play, and if I don't regularly play it, it gets sold. Guitars are not meant to stay in cases. I totally agree. And one of the things that I like to do, Bruce, is while I have, multiple guitars, sometimes I have multiple Strats, multiple Telecasters, and multiple Les Pauls or whatever it is, right? I like to keep them only till I can decide which one is the best of the herd, and then I'll sell the other ones. It doesn't mean that the one I'm selling is bad. It just means compared to the other ones that I have, I enjoy it a little bit less. So I rather sell it. It could still be a very good guitar, but I'd rather sell it and make room for something else. And it gives me an opportunity to evaluate what I have. And kind of the goal is to have the least amount of guitars possible that are keepers and that you really enjoy playing. I really have a good, satisfying feeling when I go to a local guitar shop and I start playing the new guitars that they have on the rack that are maybe $3,000 or whatever, $2,500, $2,200, and I get a satisfying feeling when I can walk out of the store without being tempted to buy anything new because I feel that the ones that I have here play better and feel better. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say, if you've gotten to that point. But really, I only keep the cream of the crop within my collection. It doesn't mean they're the best guitars ever. You guys probably have better guitars than I do. But of the ones that I own, I really get rid of the ones that I feel, for whatever reason, I don't bond with. Either feel, resonance, tone, whatever it may be. If I can fix them, if I can, put in some pickups and make them play really well, and I don't mind keeping them at all. But other than that, I don't just keep guitars for the sake of keeping guitars. Hey Tim, good morning. So here's the thing: why would you consider a Friedman that are relic and also cost a lot of money, as opposed to say a road worn Strat or Telecaster that you can modify and make better? Just wondering what like the thought process is with that. I have a doctor that I go to that's actually an avid guitar collector like me. He might even be watching. Who knows? But he's collecting really nice acoustic guitars. Super expensive. I'm not a doctor, so I don't make a doctor's salary, and he can buy these guitars. Um, and he's really getting a lot of pleasure out of buying these guitars and collecting them. Does he play in a band? I don't think so. I think he just plays for his own enjoyment. But he's buying them maybe partly as an investment, partly as a trip to have something that maybe something hanging on your wall that has a little bit of history to it. To each his own. If it works out for you, then who am I to say don't spend your money on that kind of stuff? So Vox Guitars is saying that the bridge is the real old school Tunomatic style. Today's channel has a video. Trology channel has a video on that. Yes, I know, and I do think that it does make a difference in sound. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know what he says on his channel, But that's my opinion after trying them. Is the video still choppy, guys? Tell me if it is, because if it is, I'm going to avoid using this software next time around. In many cases, I've had the similar experiences as Christopher, where you know, I've purchased a Squire and it played just as well with a few tweaks and mods as a more expensive Stratocaster. So 5150 is having a dilemma on IR loader interface. So here, let me help you with that very quickly. I don't know if other people have been playing around IR loaders, but I've been playing with two different ones recently, and this might help you out. So there's this pedal here. I don't know if I've shown or spoken about this pedal before, but this is made by NewX. It's called the Mini Studio. Small pedal, has a little USB in at the back of it, and it has basically 8 spots on it for IRs that you can load yourself. So there's preloaded IRs, and then there's also spots on this to load your own if you have a specific IR. So this one is not that expensive, and you can basically play it. Let's say you have a pedal that emulates an amp, like an amp preamp, and you put this one after it, and you go into your recording device. You can basically simulate speakers and cabinets with this quite easily. The other one that I've been playing with, which in my opinion is better, is this one here, made by Hotone or Hot One. It's called the Omni IR. Also has a little USB input in the back, but it also has an aux in and a phono headphone jack. I don't know if you can see that. And also has a balanced out on the side of it. And same idea, except this one has way more IRs you can load into it and a lot more presets. And it also has, if I'm not mistaken, a few acoustic simulations as well. So this is a lot more flexible also in terms of the settings that you have in here. You can actually tweak the settings by going into the settings with this function knob, so you can actually click it and get into like a mini menu and optimize the IRs that are in here. So if any of you are playing with IRs, I would recommend this guy. If you want to go with something a little bit less expensive, then go with the Mini Studio. They also have a bigger version of this, which is a full-fledged pedal. So I don't know if that helps you out a little bit, Strat 5150. So you went with the Hotone Ampero, great. But these pedals are still, if you're not playing solely with the Ampero, you can actually use this with a regular pedal board as well. The Ampero, by the way, if you don't already know, is I think they're due for an update, and the rumor has it that they're going to be updating the global EQ on it. They're going to be fixing a slot there, so you actually have a global EQ now. Excuse me. They're going to be upgrading the tuner, and hopefully, I don't know if this is going to be happening with this release, but they're going to be, I'm hoping, I've been pushing for it, that they're going to be allowing people to drag and drop the patches so that you could rearrange your set list, because that's right now it's a little clunky. So that should be coming up. I know they're working on it. They actually released a free trial that you can actually install that people can download and install. I haven't done it yet because people still say it's not there yet, so I don't want to risk installing it. But it's going to be good. I think overall Ampero, the people from Hotone and the Ampero they're using the right approach. They're making tweaks and they're getting people to comment on the tweaks that they're making so that they actually have direct feedback from the users so that they know whether or not people like them or not. They're going in the right direction. So if they listen to the users, that's fantastic. That's what you really want to. That's what you really want to see. Trading is the only way to score big time on any guitar. You can find the guy that is sick of his select strat, and if you have what he's looking for, you can get a steal. Totally agree with you. Nelson definitely hit it on the head there. That's how I like to roll with my deals. I'm patient, and that's why I don't go crazy. Like there's a guitar that I have my eye on right now that I'm considering, but I don't necessarily want to buy it brand new. It just came out, and I'll talk about that a little bit. I'll let you guys know which one that is. But I'm patient. That's why, I don't mind having a few guitars in my collection. There's always one or two that are kind of on the chopping block. And if, something comes up that I really want and I could entice somebody with one of the guitars that I have, I'm ready to do that, but I'm not like super eager. That's the worst thing to be when you're trading is, if you're patient, you'll come across some good deals. Walked into a music store last year, guy looking at acoustics. Guy said, try a guitar made by Bourgeois. Blew me away. Tony, have you ever tried? The brand is all handmade in Quebec somewhere. Are you sure it's called Bourgeois and not, what is the brand? It escapes me now. It starts with a B. I've never tried that particular brand, but there's another brand. Oh man, it's a subsidy of Godin, I believe. The brand that I'm thinking of, Bouchard, I think. Anyway, it'll come back to me. I haven't tried it. How much did that guitar cost? If it blew you away, it must have been amazing. But the question is, was it like a $4,000 guitar or something like that? Was it more expensive than a Martin and a Taylor or a Taylor? Um, I'll keep my eye open for them. Building your own Strat is always an adventure. Christian is building a guitar from Warmouth parts. I think Warmouth parts are a good choice because you can actually customize them as you like them, and they're built very well. They have super nice finishes. You don't have to worry about finishing the guitar bodies. That's the worst part of building your own guitar from scratch is the painting, especially if you don't have the gear to be able to do that. If you don't have a paint booth and stuff, you're working with spray cans, which is kind of awkward to work with. The finish is very thin, and you don't really have the ability to get enough coats on there reliably, and you always have issues. I've done that in the past before. Come to think of it, the only guitar that I have that I still have that I built myself. There's actually two of them that I built myself. One of them is one of my favorites, and I'll show you that one. I think it's here. This guitar is one that I put together. I didn't paint the body on this one. It's actually a real Fender body. Put it together from different parts just so I can have it feel the way I want it to. And neck was an aftermarket neck, but it was painted by me, stained and painted. Nitro took a ton of time to dry, stayed sticky for a long time. I was actually worried that it would never go away, but eventually it stopped being sticky and plays super nice, has great tone. Love this guitar. It's one of my favorite playing Telecasters, and I didn't buy this in a store. I basically bought the body, bought everything else, put it together, and it plays wonderfully. Locking tuners as well. Weight on it is fantastic. Plays like butter, this one. So this one was a build, like a parts caster, but I wouldn't sell this guitar at all. The other one I also built. This one is also a parts caster, also Telecaster here. I like this body specifically because of the transparent paint, the fact that it has a tummy tuck and an arm tuck here makes it really comfortable. The neck on it feels great. Also, locking tuners, no skunk stripe on this one, just plays really well. And you know, if you're gonna build a guitar from scratch and you don't have the equipment to actually do the finishing, avoid having, like, don't buy raw bodies, because then it's a pain. I have a kit, like, you know, I'm preaching, but I'm not listening to my own advice. I actually have a do-it-yourself guitar kit coming, which is a 335 style body that is completely unfinished, and I'm gonna try to put that one together and finish it. And I know it's going to take a lot of hours to do it, but it's a labor of love, and it's almost like building a model, like when you were a kid, you know, you're building it from scratch. I'm going to do it. I don't know how well it's going to come out, but it's going to be an experiment, and I just want to see the quality of some of these do-it-yourself kits that they have out there. I think that some of them are pretty good, so I wanted to try one and not actually just also show you guys as part of the information that I'm presenting on the channel as well. So here, that's another kit guitar that I built that I really enjoy. So you can get a lot of satisfaction out of building your own guitar from scratch. I think it's going to be quite an adventure for you. So Alan's asking, how can a damaged guitar feel good? I don't know. I don't know how damaged they are. I don't think where the damage is happening is definitely not going to affect the playability of the guitar, unless, you know, the relicing is done in such a way where they're really just thrown down the stairs, which I don't think is the case. Hey Paul, nice to see you, man. Glad you could make it. So this is the same issue my son seems to be having right now, where he's a lefty, but his guitar, because I have a guitar collection, he's been exposed to guitars that are right-handed guitars, and you know, I think he claims to be able to play right-handed. So if that's the case, that's great. So he won't be limited to the left-handed selection of gear out there, because lefties unfortunately always get shafted with not being able to have a bigger selection of guitar models. So Bruce, this is a comment that other people have made as well, as far as the Wormouth builds. I think any guitar that you build that's a part caster has to be advertised as a parts caster, whether it's building it with Wormouth parts or with Fender parts. The question is, the question always is, is a Fender guitar that you build with Fender parts still considered a parts caster, or is it considered a Fender? You know what I mean? At a certain point, if you're using a guitar neck from Fender, from let's say another body type, and you're putting the parts together, I've done that in the past where I preferred the feel of one neck over the other, so I swapped necks and eventually sold the other Strat. It still had an original Fender neck on it. It just wasn't from that particular build. So, is that a parts caster at that point? I think technically it is, but does it change the value of the guitar? Maybe it does, but I think the Wormouth builds, in a sense, won't necessarily hold up their value if you're selling it as a complete guitar. But if you part it out and sell a Wormouth neck, a Wormouth body, they tend to hold their value because people know that the Wormouth parts tend to be good quality. So you probably will make more money selling the guitar through individual parts than trying to sell the guitar as a whole. Actually, in most cases, that's actually true. You can actually make more money, even from a Strat, for example, by selling the parts individually. Did you know that? That's why places like Stratosphere on eBay, do that. They just take the guitars apart, sell them individually, so the bridges and the necks and the bodies and everything else. They actually end up making more money that way. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about today, and this is a little deviation from the gear talk that we have now, um, is what albums have you been heavily influenced by uh, in your lifetime? So let's say 10 albums that influenced you the most, that basically shaped your love of music, maybe your tone as a player. Definitely, I think we can all think back to different albums or songs that we heard when we were young that definitely made us like stop and listen. To me, right off the bat, Led Zeppelin 1 was humongous for me. Definitely loved Jimmy Page tone, and I've been a Jimmy Page fan all my life. He's the one artist that I would just love to be able to shake hands with just once. He's kind of my idol when it comes to guitarists. He's not necessarily the best guitarist, or I'm not talking about who's the best and who's the worst, but he definitely uh, can play and makes me want to listen to his songs over and over again and not get tired of them, and listen to the different nuances that he brings in there. Led Zeppelin 1 for me. Uh, Van Halen 1, of course. Who could deny that, Eruption and all those other songs on that album, they were just jaw droppers for me when I was in high school. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I had to stop and listen. And it was like, wow, I want to play like that. I still can't play like that, but I want to play like that. And that definitely shaped my taste in music. The third big influence on me was Stevie Ray Vaughan. Albums like Couldn't Stand the Weather, Texas Flood. There's a bunch of albums that he came out with over time that were just amazing to me. Listening to his rendition of Voodoo Child, Slight Return, amazing. Scuttlebutting, amazing. Songs like The Things I Used to Do. Great player. Definitely changed my opinion of blues till that point. I never really got into Eric Clapton. I can't deny that he was a major influence on music, but I never really got into Eric. Um, Jimi Hendrix too. The only reason I actually listened to Jimi Hendrix was mostly because of guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Although, you know, songs like Crosstown Traffic, obviously Voodoo Child, Purple Haze, all those songs like that. Definitely, as a guitarist, I appreciated those songs, but I didn't actually feel like I wanted to listen to them over and over again as much as some other artists. Cream, I definitely enjoy that aspect of Eric Clapton more than his later stuff. So Cream definitely is a band I could listen to over and over again. But that only came later, as I got older. Very early on, I was exposed to a lot of Beatles. I really am a big Beatles fan. I also was exposed to a lot of Stones, Rolling Stones, but that was not necessarily, that was more through my sister. She had a lot of Rolling Stone albums, but she didn't necessarily have like the major, like commercial hits albums. She had other albums like Tattoo You, which was kind of like a weird phase they were going through. Some Girls, I think Sticky Fingers was another one. Um, so there was a lot of stuff, and there was a lot of earlier Stone stuff when they were still playing mostly rhythm and blues, still trying to emulate the black bands that were out at, during that time. And then I got into this weird phase where I was listening to stuff like Jeff Beck. I was listening to Al Di Meola. What else? Robin Trower. I was listening to more like virtuoso type guitarists, but I didn't really. I enjoyed trying to play like them, but it kind of subsided over time. Jeff Healey was also an interesting player, and I really, as a fellow Canadian, I actually first learned of Jeff Healey on a show that was a kids show called Going Great. It was like a very low budget Canadian show made for kids. It was called Going Great, and they actually interviewed Jeff Healey when he was a teenager. He was probably at that time, I don't know, I'm gonna say 14, maybe 14, 15 max. And he was already a great player, and they were actually interviewing him. He wasn't famous or anything at that point, but they were just interviewing him because he was able, as a young kid, to play the guitar, even though he was blind. And it blew my socks off. And then later on, when he actually became famous, I remember, I'm like, I saw this guy when he was like 15 years old, and he was already playing tremendous guitar for somebody that doesn't have vision, and it really like blew my socks off. So I have deep respect for Jeff Healey and what he did, uh, um, being a blind player like that. He encouraged me to practice. If he can play like that, and what can I? It's funny. Steve Vai is also another person that I actually liked, I respected more for what he did when he was playing with Frank Zappa. But Steve Vai is the type of guy, and also Satriani, and this we're talking about virtuosos now. These guys for me are more like, they're respected. They really know their stuff. They've mastered their craft. But I can't really say that I would like to listen to their stuff over and over again. You know, I'll listen to it, I'll appreciate it, but I don't think I could sit through like an entire album. At least not their current stuff. The other albums that I listened to as a kid over and over again were Frank Zappa, Joe's Garage. I don't know if you guys are into Zappa at all. For Frank Zappa is kind of the guy, either you love his stuff or you don't get it. It's either like over here, it just goes over your head, or you can appreciate it for what it is. And definitely, Joe's Garage was one of those things where I really enjoyed listening to it because it had a whole story built into it. And if you listen to it's a double album. If you listen to it, you can actually understand that his story was basically how he got started and how they became famous, and then how the industry took over and took advantage of them and everything else. It's actually quite ingenious when you think about it. And there's some great playing in that on that album, and a lot of different styles of music as well. I'm just really happy to have had an opportunity to actually see Stevie Ray Vaughan live in concert. He blew my socks off, and that's one of the concerts I'm never gonna forget. It was outside, open air venue, beautiful night. You know, the type of nights where the temperature is just perfect, the air is still, there's no like big wind. It was the stage was right by the water, so the stage was there, and right behind him was the river, and beautiful bridge in the back of the stage, Jacques Cartier Bridge, and it was lit up, beautiful evening, and he blew my socks off. He pulled out all the stops. He played amazing that night. I was there with a friend of mine. I was in high school at the time, and I could just remember it like it was yesterday. I can just smell the cotton candy and the popcorn, and it was actually at an amusement park, and it was crazy. It was just crazy, and we our jaws just dropped when we watched that show, and it was like amazing. It was like one of those things that you're never gonna forget. Deep Purple was also another band that I liked. I think I appreciate them more now than I did back then. Definitely, Machine Head is a great album. That would probably be one of the 10 albums on my list as well, just because of the great artists and the great performances that were captured on that album. It's kind of a hard thing, right? You know, if you have to pick only 10 albums, I mean, there's a lot more than 10 that if you start calculating everything that you've listened to over the years, it's like movies. You know, if you start making a list of all the movies you've watched so far in your life, there's a lot of freaking movies. There's a lot more than you remember, and that list is humongously long. Same thing with music and albums and stuff. If you think back and you're like, man, who would I put on that list? Like, guys for me like Santana, definitely I think is up there in terms of a player, because I still listen to him today. Joe Bonamassa, he's a great up and coming artist. He definitely paid his dues. He really knows how to play. Um, I'm a fan of his technique. I'm a fan of his knowledge of music. I listen to some of his music, but I don't really like. I prefer listening to Joe when he's playing other people's stuff. He does that from time to time. He did a great mashup live at one point where he was playing a whole bunch of Led Zeppelin songs, and he was mixing it with some other artists, and it just blew my socks off. One of the best things I've ever seen anybody do live. Um, but to sit through some of his more commercial stuff, I'm not there yet. I don't know if you guys know a band called Rival Sons. They're one of they're one of my I'm gonna say my new up and coming favorite bands. They're definitely different. They have their own thing going. A lot of passion in their music. A lot of passion in their songs. They're not trying to emulate anyone else. They're not trying to be a Led Zeppelin knockoff, or trying to be, it's not a rehash of other stuff that you've already seen. They're definitely doing their own thing, and they're probably one of my favorite up and coming bands. Um, have they broken, like, have they become uber famous? I don't think, not yet. They're at the cusp. They're trying to break through, but it's definitely hard to do right now as a new band. They're doing a lot of touring. Unfortunately, they rarely come to Canada or the United States. They're usually touring in Europe, Germany, and Europe. They came to Montreal once. They actually played one show at a college or something, and I didn't go. Unfortunately, I couldn't go. I would have liked to. Funny thing about Rival Sons is that the guitarist plays with slide most of the time. He's got a lot of fuzz going on his sound. He has a big sound. The drummer also is one of the main reasons why I listen to that band, and the singer. Actually, they're all good. They're all good. Singer has a lot of power in his voice. The drummer has a lot of licks that kind of remind me of John Bonham. He's got that big, fat, heavy in the pocket type playing. Sounds very good. And the fact that the guitarist uses a slide most of the time keeps me interested because he doesn't necessarily recycle riffs that we've heard over and over again. And I'm not a big slide player, and I tend to like players that play things that I can't play. It keeps me interested. So Bram says I should check out Evil Mama by Joe Bonamassa. I'm gonna check it out for sure. So what else? What are you guys listening to? What do you guys any like? I feel that with the music industry, things have kind of stopped because of royalties and the fact that everybody's ripping them off with all these streaming services. Nobody's really making money like they used to anymore. They're forced to tour a lot more, and I just feel like things have kind of plateaued in terms of new music. So it's either uber commercial or it doesn't get played, you know. And at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily into a lot of these commercial artists that are kind of like super overproduced. And, it's basically a product of a company, and it's not really. It's really too polished, too perfect. I like the little imperfections in the music. That really gives it life, you know? I like hearing the squeaky bass drum pedal on the Led Zeppelin tunes. I like hearing the fan kick in on the air conditioning unit at the end of Let It Be. Uh, you know, I like these little things where you're listening to the song, and if you crank it up at the beginning, you hear the airplane flying overhead while they were doing the recording, or you can hear the playback of the song in the headphones as Robert Plant was gonna sing his vocal track. These are the things, that the little nuances that make the music real for me, and I really like that aspect of it. Um, that's why I like the fact that you look at guys like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and he took the opportunity to actually produce one of his albums on analog equipment in his garage, just to get back to that original sound. It's harder to do, but it's definitely different. Definitely has more life in it. Rival Sons do have a tour listed in the U.S. Unfortunately, they're not coming to Canada, at least not anytime soon. If they do come around, I definitely would like to catch them. I really don't go to shows anymore, believe it or not. I don't know if you guys are heavily into catching concerts or not or what, but there's not a lot of people left that I would like to go see. The ones that I actually wanted to see, I've seen, and because they're kind of old now and they're doing their final tours, they end up charging a lot for these tours, and I don't really feel like paying that kind of music that kind of money to go see these artists. Another artist that had a big influence. Well, I mean, big influence. Not that he's a guitarist or anything, but a virtuoso. I mean, but CCR definitely. If there's one band that you've heard a song from over and over again, it's CCR. Definitely had a big influence on me more recently. I went and see John Fogerty twice, and he's still belting them out. He's still able to crank out the songs, and you're just amazed by how many songs he has, how many hits he's made with those same three chords. Still has that iconic voice, and he is basically CCR. You know, without him, there is no CCR. But definitely a classic in my book. I was glad to be able to see him twice. He's actually doing this thing right now on YouTube. If you follow him on YouTube, he's actually playing songs with his kids. They're just like sitting around the campfire or at home in the studio and just playing his classic hits, and he's basically singing them. So pretty cool. Definitely an influence on me. Joe Walsh, killer guitarist, as cool tunes made easy mentioned. Killer guitarists. The Eagles definitely have great songs. Again, a band that I appreciated later as opposed to earlier. Um, and I gotta throw in, um, another band that I gotta throw in is Fleetwood Mac. Just because for me, they have a lot of hits. Lindsey Buckingham is a killer guitarist, man. Even though he has a unique style of playing, definitely was somebody that blew my socks off when I saw them live. He basically stole the show. He had so much energy and passion in his playing that when he got into the solos, it was crazy. It was just amazing. And he's an excellent singer. A lot of people have seen him play the Fleetwood Mac tunes solo when he was doing a tour, and he did an amazing job. Unfortunately, he didn't necessarily, pack in the house because a lot of people don't really appreciate maybe him as much as the actual band, but it's crazy. Fleetwood Mac, the old stuff. Peter Green, yeah, Black Magic Woman is a Fleetwood Mac song. A lot of people don't know that. They think it's a Santana tune. Bruce is saying he might have to take a bathroom breaks because my streams are so long, and he's absolutely right. It's an hour and a half that we've been live, and I think we're going to be wrapping it up so we can leave a little bit for the next event. Just that some people have come in late and they're jumping into the conversation, so it's kind of hard to stop the momentum. Hey Peter, how's it going? The thing with Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing, everybody knows that one. Everybody knows Money for Nothing, huge hits for them. Um, Definitely made me take notice of Mark Knopfler at that point. Stuff that he's doing now, kind of boring. When a guitarist comes on stage and sits down, it's like it's bedtime. It's gonna put me to sleep. But he definitely is a good player, and there's no denying that he did have a big influence on a lot of people when they came out with those particular albums. I've seen Mark Knopfler on YouTube playing Brothers in Arms, um, and he was just playing it with an orchestra and his Les Paul. And I'm telling you, it made the hair on my arms stand up. It was so passionate and full of emotion. I've rarely seen somebody play that way, and he wasn't like ripping or anything. It was very tastefully done, but it was just so emotional that I got goosebumps. If you have an opportunity, check that one out. Guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up. There was a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about, but we'll leave it for the next event. We kind of got carried away with these topics and whatnot, so I'm definitely gonna have more to talk about when we get online again. If you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, guys, please do. Give me a thumbs up if you like the content that we're producing here and you like the live streams. As I mentioned, now that things are going to slowly get back together again, back to normal again, you will see me posting my regular videos. It was just, a little bit of a I needed some family time to deal with the passing of my father-in-law, and so there was a little bit of a lull there. But life must go on, unfortunately, even though things like that happen. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I really do like the feedback, and you guys always have great comments and definitely participate in the chats. And I always look forward to these things. So for the new people that came in today, I appreciate you guys joining me. Rich, Bud, a lot of new faces here. And every time we have one of these events, definitely I appreciate seeing you guys. So that's it for today, guys. Have a great rest of the Sunday. Please stay safe. Tune into my channel whenever you can. I really appreciate that. Subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and you can also follow me on Instagram if you want to. I post some behind the scenes photos and comments there as well. All right. So that's it, guys. Thank you. And till next time, we'll schedule next Sunday for sure. This Wednesday is kind of iffy. Actually, it won't be possible this Wednesday. I can tell you that right now. So we'll schedule next Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you there again. All right? Take it easy, guys.